What's up, guys? This is the 3 a.m. podcast. My name is Sean.
My name is Charlie.
My name's Deejay.
And here we just are a bunch of friends. We tell scary stories, try to scare each other. And, well, if you like this, go like and subscribe on our stuff.
We attempt to, at least. But
Dude, do you guys have any standout memories of telling scary stories as a kid?
I don't remember telling scary stories, but I remember hearing scary stories from like my grandpa on my mom's side, which I've already shared 10, 15 episodes ago. And one of my aunts, I remember telling scary stories, but that was it.
Did your I feel like your family wasn't like really down with the scary stories though.
No, legitimately, I did not see any scary movies until I moved out on my own. Maybe that's why it's like nothing really is scary.
What was the context of like how were you hearing your grandpa tell scary? Where was it?
It was at their house in Paducah, Kentucky. And just like on their back porch, we built this deck in the back of their house. It wrapped around their whole house.
Dope.
So we would just like sit out on the deck or do like a bonfire in the back or stuff like that.
Did you find it intriguing or were you like whatever?
Well, it was the one I told about him maybe meeting or like seeing a gorilla in the house or something like that. Yeah. So that was intriguing to me because, you know, Bigfoot, and I'm about that. I'm a squatcher, if you will.
No, me too. Sean and I have gone squatching. That's the activity of looking for Bigfoot. So we went hiking and we did some wood knocks and we did some calls.
any responses?
Dude,
Nothing.
None
dude.
responses?
none at all.
Yeah.
It's all right. That's typical of the Bigfoot. So
Did I tell you that there was a Bigfoot museum just outside of Santa Cruz in California? I went there and it was closed, dude. I was upset, bro.
I already told him, I was like, dude, the universe does not want you to see any cryptids. First, they effed him over with Loch Ness Monster,
Oh yeah, dude.
and then Bigfoot. But before we continue, just shout out to Kevin. He's in the room. Kevin, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you.
doing great. Thank you, man.
When I was little, I told one of my friends about things that would go on in my house, and his mom heard and kicked me out, and I wasn't allowed to go over there anymore.
That makes sense because most little kids' stairways are like, and then the monster growled. And then Kevin's is like, well, the devil was in my room last night and ripped me out of my bed. So I could understand that mother's actions, I think.
Did you ever have a part of your childhood where now you think back, you're like, that was slightly serial killer-ish?
Of yourself?
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Look back and you're like, oh, those are tendencies of a psychopath, sociopath.
So when I was like 8, I was holding this cat underwater. And I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Let me think for real.
Maybe not a real question. I have one that I don't want to put on the air.
Well, you know what that means. Me and my family have a tradition.
We gonna put it on the air.
It's called confession time. And every once in a while, one of us will be like, all right, confession time. And if you state that, you cannot be judged. So if you want to hit us with a confession time, just do it. And no one can judge you. All you listeners. And us.
I don't care.
Okay.
Just make sure you say confession time beforehand or else we'll judge you.
Confession time.
I think you just summoned something.
Yeah, some bad childhood memories. This is one of those memories where I actively try to block out and just erase from the archives of my mind.
So now we'll just make it permanent.
Yeah. This isn't going to help. But I was playing at my friend's house and he has a bunch of siblings. So he has like a bunch of toy like swords and guns and we're playing like war in the basement. And I can't remember if it was his or mine. I think it was his, but he had like a cool pocket knife that he just got. And he's like, dude, check this out. And I think we might have been like 10 or 11. And we were already hyped up in the mentality of just playing war. So he gives me this pocket knife and I take it out. It's a dope pocket knife, like all knives are when you're a kid. And I push him against a wall. And I put the knife to his neck. And I was like, nah, dude, I'm just kidding. And I put the knife away. I seriously was kidding. I promise. But
Dog, my heart rate is up right now. Did something come over you?
wait.
What
I'm not finished.
Oh, there's more?
While I was doing that, his dad came down.
Oh my gosh.
It was like the perfect timing. And he looked at me and all he said was, "Don't do that." And I was like, "Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir." And I looked at him, I was like, "No, I'm just joking, whatever." And I backed off and I looked behind and Dad was talking to my homie and I could hear him say, "Are you all right?" Is like just checking on him if he was okay. But that was it. Nothing else happened. They moved away. The next day. No.
That child is scarred for life.
Damn, when you play games, you get into it, dog.
Oh man. It's embarrassing.
One of me doesn't come to mind, but one of my friend does. So
Let's exploit that, dude.
exactly. You know who you damn well are. He was at a sleepover, and you know how sometimes groups of boys are savages, and there was like 4 or 5 of them, and for some reason they all turned on him, and he was kind of the butt of every joke,
Yeah.
everything.
Every group has that.
Yes,
Scapegoat.
I think they were playing like tag, or actually I think they were playing like WWE or something, and they all are picking on him, and it gets to the point where he's so agitated. He yells, "If any of you mother effers do one more thing," and he grabs a really stale pizza crust, and he grabs his friend
Which can knock people
by
out.
the head. He has his friend like in a chokehold, and he takes the pizza crust and puts it to his friend's throat. He said, "If any of you mother effers take one more step, like Josh is gonna get it." And one of them like lunged towards him, and he just goes, "Fah!" and rips the dry pizza crust across his friend's neck and throws him to the ground, and is just like screaming in rage.
Pizza sauce coming out of his neck.
His marinara everywhere, dog. No, but legit, he like scratched the shit out of his neck. He was like droplets of blood from bread, dude.
Dude, crusty bread is
Dangerous.
second to
Serrated
rusty
blades.
spoon. Yeah.
It's a straight up bona fide prison shiv. But anyway. Yeah, I feel you. I know what it's like. Sometimes you just get worked up into a heightened sense of you just like lose all humanity.
Yeah. Oh, hit it. All right. You wake up. It's 2050. You just pulled a Huck Finn. What's the first thing that you Google after your 30 years of slumber?
Okay, first of all, I don't think Huck Finn was a slumber.
I
It
was
was
thinking the
Ichabod
same
Crane.
No, also, yeah.
Yeah, but he slept.
No. You're thinking of that dude that fell asleep for like 100 years or whatever?
Who is that?
Rip Van Winkle?
Yep.
Ah, there you go. My bad. Not Huck Finn. Rip Van Winkle.
What's the first thing you Google?
Yeah.
It's been how many years?
30 years. Fall asleep right now. You wake up in 2050. You hear it's 2050. They're telling the truth.
I would Google what is the best alternative for Google, most current alternative.
Joke's on you. Google's non-existent.
Yeah.
First thing I Google is food places.
Oh my god.
Places to eat.
I don't know, man. Obviously, I'd probably check out everything I do know, Reddit, YouTube,
Elon Musk.
see what the hell's happening, and try to just catch up on current events. Be like, is the air breathable?
Who won the 2020 Marble Olympics?
Are we all Chinese now? Is this Mother Russia?
Yeah.
And then food places. How about you, Maine?
I don't know, dude. Like Wikipedia timeline. Like what's that? Like what's happened over the past?
Like
That's such a basic
fifth
answer.
grade history class course,
Yeah.
just to catch you up real quick. Before we move on, did you want to share your story?
Oh,
Another
do we want a
confession
question?
time?
Another confession time?
Yeah. Have any of you ever gotten so mad at your parents?
What were some of the? Did you throw temper tantrums as a kid?
I'm going to be straight up with you. I was a very well-behaved child.
Good.
I got spanked once or twice when I was like 6. And after that, I legitimately remember thinking, well, that was dumb. And I like never did really anything else to get spanked. I was like, I'm just not going to do that. I still was like up to stuff, but I just never like
Got caught.
yeah, or even got close to like getting caught. The worst thing I've ever crime I committed, and I straight up lied to my mom. She doesn't even know this, and she listens to this podcast. So sorry, mother.
Apologies, mother.
When I was 8, I was down the street and I found a booklet of matches. I guess this is kind of serial killery because my psycho ass was like, I need to go light a fire. So I took this booklet of matches, got some green ass leaves and twigs together, and I tried to light this match. Or I tried to light this like little fire near like some homes in my trees. I don't know. I was just trying to be like survival man. I don't know how, but I get home and my mom knows I've been playing with matches. And me and my little sister are together. So she splits us up into separate rooms and brings one in at a time to interrogate us. So I'm like in front of her in her room and she's like, how many matches did you light? And I was like, I don't know, like 2 or 3. It was like 45 plus. It was like the whole book of matches. I was like, I don't know, like how many 2 or 3? She's like, I can't believe you did that. Like she's pissed, right? And she's like, go get your sister. So I was like, okay. So I walk out of the room and I was like, Heather's passing me crying and I'm crying and I'm like, say we only lit 2 or 3. I like whisper out of the side of my mouth, we only lit 2 or 3. And I go back in our room and she held up, dude. She
Damn.
didn't snitch. She
That's a
stayed strong.
real one.
Mom's like, how many did you light? She was like, 2 or 3.
Organized crime.
Yeah, dude. I was like, damn. I carried that guilt for so long.
The Hatch Crime Syndicate.
Yeah, do not mess with the Hatch
Hey.
siblings. we are down to ride, bro.
Yeah, the offshoot of the Yakuza.
Yep.
Hey.
That's funny. Dude, I'm embarrassed at how bad of a kid I was. At least I only remember the times I was bad, so I can't. I don't know. Those are parts that stand out to me the most, I feel like. When I was a kid, I only did this once. Trying to justify my actions here.
I think once is more than enough.
Yeah.
And they made me do it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell that one after, but I don't know what happened to get me this angry. I was about 3 or 4 years old, but my mom made me so upset that I went upstairs to go and pee, and I'm peeing in her bathroom, and I get the bright idea to pinch it and hold it midstream.
First of all, that hurts. And it takes a lot of skill.
Yeah. And I run out of the master bathroom into the master bedroom, and I let go, and I pee a little bit on the carpet of their bedroom floor, maybe for like 2 seconds, and I pinch it again, and I run back and finish my business. And I don't think I've never told her. I don't think she listens, so I think I'm still safe.
New candle or something in here? Do we have asparagus candle?
Nah, pineapple. The other one was same thing. I was upset. I don't know why. But when I was like 4, I got this sick rain jacket, and it had Goku on the back. Goku from Dragon Ball Z, for all y'all who don't know.
Kakarot.
And I was so mad. I went to my room and I got the jacket, and I took out a pair of scissors and I started cutting the jacket up. And my mom walks in mid-cut, and she says, "What are you doing?" And with my face full of tears, I look at her and I scream, "You made me do this!"
You made me do that.
To make matters worse, I cried and cried and cried until they got me a new Dragon Ball Z jacket.
My gosh, dude. You're a little butthead, dude.
I hate myself. You don't have to tell me.
Yeah. Believe me,
You're
man.
not the only ones.
That's so funny.
Oh, that's hilarious. It reminds me of the meme of the guy who's riding the bike and then leans down and puts the stick in his own tire. And then he falls off and he's like, "You did this."
It's like, thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
But mom, I'm sorry.
Yeah, bro, you owe your mama sorry.
My whole life I've been sorry.
You made me do this. It gets me every time.
You made me do this, or you did this.
Sean, were
One or
you
the
a bad kid?
Dude, I was, for all intents and purposes, a trophy child.
Whoa.
Perfect.
For real?
Perfect.
Perfect. Like, let's see. I took my piano lessons, got straight A's. I got a C one time. That was really
You
disappointing.
bastard.
Nope. Yeah, I was pretty good. There was one time I stole coins out of my mom's purse, and that was all we had, so they caught me.
You're like, "Hey, idiot. we
That's when I
we have
learned
6 quarters and 6 quarters are gone."
I left the dimes.
We know the difference between nickels and quarters, Sean.
Is this a rock you left in this
to make it feel heavy.
dumbass trophy?
That's when I learned to Robin Hood and steal from the people who could afford it.
There you go. All right.
And then give back to your family.
So that they'd have their quarters again. And really all I was doing was buying those little Debbie's pies from the store, and that was it.
Bro, when I was 4 or 5, I went to a store, and I think I was like in a waiting room or something, and they had little toy cars to play with, and I just happened to put the car in my pocket. And then we went to the store, and I took the car out, and I started playing with it. And my mom was like, "Where'd you get that?" And I was like, "I bought this with my job and no." I was like, this like the last place," and she got so upset with me, walked me back, and made me hand it back and apologize, and I was so shamed.
You imagine being the cashier at those stores.
Yeah,
You're
you're
just like, the store can afford
You
this.
little idiot kid.
You got caught.
That was like that was the last time I stole until I was like 16, and then I was trying to rob the Declaration of Independence, like anything I could steal. I was trying to steal, and then I stopped when I was 17.
When you were a kid, what were some of like your first favorite toys?
Dude, first thing that comes to my mind is this dinosaur, but I did everything with that dinosaur. I built anyway. Dirt. Dirt's probably my favorite childhood toy.
I was gonna say, you see that that circle with the stick that you make the hoop go down the road. That's what I had.
I think mine was the little army men with the parachutes.
Oh, those were dope.
Those are so much. Hours in the backyard just wrapping it up, throwing it up in the air, and catching it.
Dope. Nostalgia lane.
For sure.
Should we do this?
Yeah, let's go.
We roll our 20-sided die to determine who tells their story in what order. Highest goes first.
I was a
DJ
5.
rolled and he got a 5. Sean is going and he has.
A 1.
Charlie goes 10. So it goes.
Charles, me, Sean.
Cool. Okay. All right. Next story. This one actually comes to us from one of our patrons on Patreon.
Dope.
So shout out Jake Parker.
Thanks, Jake.
Eat a man.
Appreciate it.
All right, so this story happened to him about 10 years ago. He used to be an intern for the Center for Victims of Violent Crimes in eastern Idaho. So their office was in the basement of Hotel Bonneville, and it was across the street from the courthouse. Pretty old building, whatever. There was 3 people that worked in this office. It was him, his director, and then a girl, a female. So it's pretty cramped. It's a small space. They're working. He gets to work one morning and he gets an email, opens it, and it's from his brother. And the first thing it says is, "Are you okay? I had a feeling that you were in danger and I needed to contact you." So he emails his brother back right away and says, "Yeah, everything's good. What's up?" And he goes, "I don't know, man. I had this dream last night." And he said they were both fairly religious. And he said, "This didn't feel like a normal dream. Like, I almost want to say premonition, but I feel like you're in trouble. And he kind of brushes it off and says like, no, everything's good, man. Like everything's fine. We're good. The director is there working and gets a phone call about 20 minutes later, and it's his dad. So he like steps out of the room, takes the phone call, comes back in, says, I just got the weirdest call from my dad. And he's like, why? And they're pretty good friends. So he told him, he's like, he just said all last night he had the weirdest feeling and he needed to call and ask me, are you okay? And his, obviously Jake is like, whoa, tells him about the email. And they're both like, okay, that's kind of weird. So they're talking a little bit and they're both kind of annoyed. They feel like the universe is trying to tell them, but it like isn't going to them. It's going to like their family members and stuff like that. And they're just discussing how weird that is. Still, they decide to do nothing. So the third coworker gets there.
The girl?
Yeah. And there's like small talk, greetings and whatnot. And she very quickly goes, so I got a really weird phone call from my dad this morning. And both of them obviously are like, what did he say? And she said, I don't know. He just said he got a really weird feeling and then asked me if I was okay. And said he felt like we were in danger. Within 5 minutes, the doors are locked, the lights are off, and they took off. They closed for the day. They're like, nope, we're getting out of here. So they left.
They'll go home.
The whole night, Jake is wondering, dude, what is that? That's weird, right? That's strange. Like, you can't ignore that.
Yeah.
He said while she was saying, telling about her dad's phone call, the scripture popped into his mind as clear as day. Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses.
Will truth be established?
And they all just got the weird feeling. They agreed pretty much like without communicating it, and they left. And that whole night he's wondering, what did we dodge, dude? Like, what was that? What's a sign for? So goes to sleep, next morning comes around, and he's almost anxious to get to work. Gets to work. He's half expecting to have like the door broken in or something. Someone has broken in, but nothing. So he says, okay.
He's the first one?
Yeah. Goes to the camera room with the security tapes. And he goes, okay. Half expecting, I'm going to see something crazy on here. Turns on the security tapes and starts fast forwarding. Nothing. Checks the premises. Nothing. His other 2 coworkers show up. Anything happen? No. And as far as he can tell, he has no idea why they received that warning.
Yikes, dude.
So in his words, I'll just read his words to close really quick. He said, I don't know if it was synchronicity or help from the other side or just the most random events kind of lining up that have ever happened to me. I don't know why that message was delivered to us, but it seemed too planned to be coincidental. And he said, so that's my story. No ghost, no madmen, just a mystery I'll never know the answer to. I asked my brother if he remembered this event, and he said he did. He said his dream was of him, and the rest of our family was preparing me to be eaten. Now, I really don't know what's going on or how God could have saved us through such a weird dream, but I hope I would have been tasty. Anyway, thanks for the great show. I really appreciate it. You guys rock. Jake.
You know what's really creepy right now is very recently someone hit me up that I haven't talked to in 15 years. And she's like, hey, how's it going? I felt like I needed to see if you were okay. I'm going to pull up the freaking message, dude.
Ooh, dude. That can't be just a coincidence, dog.
This is creepy, bro.
How do you know this person?
She lived in Ohio, and we went to seminary together.
Cool. So you guys had classes together?
She said, hey, long time no see. Had a dream with you in it last night. You doing okay?
Dude, message her and be like, what was the dream? Do I need to look out for anyone?
Huh. And what'd you tell her? You're fine.
Yeah, I said, hey, everything's good.
And
Asked
then-
how they were doing.
Interesting. So I have a couple stories for us tonight. This first one, this guy and his girlfriend are asleep in their bed. Dead asleep. When he's woken up to his girlfriend saying, what are you doing? He said she had a history of like sleep talking, but this was so urgent and abrupt that it instantly woke him up and he knew something was wrong. So he sits up and he's like, he sees that she is in fact still asleep. He wakes her up and he's like, babe, are you okay? And she's like, I thought I saw someone at the foot of our bed. And so he looks around. She looks around. There's no one. She's like, that's so weird. I had the most vivid dream. Someone was standing at the foot of our bed. It's like, oh, that's weird. Sorry. She goes to sleep. He goes to sleep. A little bit later, he wakes up again. But this time, he wakes up to someone standing on their bed. And he said he's so shocked and bewildered, all he can say is, what are you doing? And this person had sheets that were tangled and wrapped up around its neck. And as he's staring at the person staring back at him, his girlfriend shakes him awake. She goes, are you okay? And he's like, takes him a second, and he realizes he was sleeping. And she said, you just yelled, what are you doing? And he tells her what he saw, exactly what she saw.
Oh, shit.
Okay. So it starts off with her. Same thing happens, switches though.
But that was real. That was
But it
real. It
caused-
was also part of the dream.
Yes. So he was sleeping. He's woken up to his girlfriend yelling, what are you doing? She kind of explains a little bit of what she saw, but not details. He goes to sleep. Thinks he wakes up, sees someone standing on their bed, and yells, what are you doing? But really he's sleeping, wakes his girlfriend up. He goes, I don't know what it was. Synchronicity. Suggestion is very, very powerful. But he said he's never had anything like that happen.
That's pretty creepy, though.
That would be mad creepy, dog.
It's always wild to me when people have information from their experiences
Line up
with each other.
I've had entire dreams before that was focused around defusing a bomb. And I had to do all these things. I was super panicked, super stressed, and I get to the bomb and it's beeping. And I hit it right as it's beeping. And right as I'm about to hit it, it starts making this loud noise. And the loud noise I wake up to is my actual alarm clock going off. And so I like sit there for a while and I'm like, my entire dream led up to that noise. Like that was the climax of my dream. And somehow my dream knew that it was like gonna be my alarm.
I wonder if it's because of, I don't know, obviously because I'm a sleep expert,
Yeah.
but rapid eye movement. So it's like the first thing you wake up to, in that split second, your mind just puts pieces together from that dream state you're in.
I've actually heard that.
I don't know.
That
That's
like the time is different and you think it's like super linear, but you really can experience like a whole ton of things all at once. But yeah, that would make sense.
I don't know.
Anyway, that was a quick one from Orange Derps.
That one's different though, because they woke up first time it happened, went back to bed, and then they woke up again.
And they experienced the same thing both times.
Dreams are funny. I'm not going to lie. When someone starts to tell me their dream, 99% of the time, I'm like, this needs to end as fast as it can. Because they're like, and then I was in a room, and then like Zebra, and then like Gum was running, and then like Aladdin was it. And you're like, I don't care about any of this.
Even if it's a scary dream, like
At the end of the day,
I saw like dark red eyes staring at me or whatever. It's like, it's
just
hard to
a
relate to
dream.
because you started with, I had a dream. So,
So did Martin Luther King.
yeah.
DJ.
And look where he is now.
Oh, he's got his own holiday, bro.
In the hearts of many. Okay. Anyway, did I ever tell you about that girl I was talking to while I was serving a mission? So there was an area in my mission where a ton of people had left the church.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And it was all the young single adults. So all the people who were like 18 to 25, they all left. And it's because this one kid came back from his mission and he had decided that the church was untrue and that it was his mission to get everyone to leave the church.
Sure.
So he went back to where he served, found all of his people who he helped join the church and made them unjoin. And then started like getting everyone to unjoin. So constantly every day I would wake up and outside of our door was like anti-Mormon literature on the ground. And all of the YSA were like with them.
YSA is young single adults.
Yeah, sorry. He was the most charismatic. He was good looking, charming, super like influential.
So Satan. No.
Yeah, no judgments here, but yeah.
You do you, dog.
So we were talking to this one girl who was like deciding if she wanted to stay or leave. And she's like, hey guys, can I share a dream I had last night and tell me if you think it means anything? And we were like, sure, go for it. She goes, it was so weird because it was like I was really there. Like it was the most vivid dream I've ever had in my life. But I was in this home and it was this massive brick mansion. Beautiful. And I was in a room, and you know how you just know things in your dream? Well, I knew we were all getting ready for this dinner party. So I was getting ready, and this kid who was like leading everyone away comes by and he's like, hey, are you almost ready for the party? And she's like, yeah, I'll meet you down there. And so they go down almost together down to the stairs, and they come in this master dining room. And there's this huge table that's set with delicious looking food everywhere and these beautiful placemats all for them. And she walks in, and it's everyone she knows who are like the young single adults from the area. And they're all sitting down at these tables or these chairs. So she comes in, there's 2 empty seats, and she sits down, and that kid sits down right by her. And they're all sitting around, they're having so much fun. Everything looks beautiful, they're excited. And then the room goes quiet. And the door opens in the back of the room, and this man walks in. She's never seen this man before. She realizes there's one empty plate across from her at the table. And right when this man walks in, all of the noise stops and all eyes turn to him. And she said he was just all the energy went to him when he walked in.
Charismatic.
I don't know. He didn't do anything special, didn't say anything special, but something happened when he walked in. He had everyone's attention. And he slowly walks down and looks at everyone and smiles and sits down in the chair right across from her. And as he's doing so, he's making strong eye contact with her. And she said, I don't know why, but I did not get a good feeling from him. It wasn't a bad feeling. It wasn't like a super strong feeling, but something wasn't right. This man sits down and greets everyone to his table. He says, thank you for coming to my party. We have a delicious feast. Feel free to eat as much as you want. There is no amount to what you can eat in here. So please start eating. As she's saying that, she gets super nervous to the point where she almost wants to scream. And all she can hear in her head is, do not eat the food. Don't eat the food. So she looks over, and her friend, who had was leading everyone away, takes his fork, gets a huge forkful, and takes a huge bite. She said, I almost knocked the fork out of his hand. I wanted to scream, don't eat the food. And she looks around. All of her friends are just eating. They're mowing down this food like it's Mitsuken.
Oh.
And they're eating faster, and none of them are looking up. And she's looking around in horror as all of her friends are eating. And as she's looking around, she looks at the man sitting across from her, and he's staring directly into her soul, smiling. And he goes, why don't you eat? And she said, no, I'm not going to eat. She looks over at, I almost said his name. She looks over at her friend, and he said, with every bite, he becomes more gaunt and thin and emaciated looking and weak until he's hunched over, still putting food into his mouth. And she's bawling, shaking him, please stop eating. And he just keeps taking bites. And she looks up at the man, and he's smiling, looking at her, just says, he is mine now, and he will be mine forever. And she wakes up. And we're sitting in that room, and she's like, so do you guys think that means anything? And I was just straight speechless, dude. I was like, yeah. Holy shit, dude. That was crazy. But it was just weird to hear someone with such a clear dream. I don't know. It was interesting. Very
It's true,
interesting.
yeah.
Reminded me of Pan's Labyrinth.
Ooh.
Yeah. The dude with the hands and the eyes in in the palms of his hands. With the feast on the table you're not supposed to eat. But
Just creepy to me. All right, so this last one. So this kid was in 8th grade, and they were doing this field trip tour of Louisiana. And he said it was basically the southern part of Louisiana, and they were visiting all these historical places, right? One of the places they visited was known as Myrtles Plantation. So Myrtles Plantation, the home, the actual house, has the record of being one of the United States' most haunted homes. Great. It has insane stories. I only read a couple. One, they have a picture this couple took. Behind them in the window, you can see what looks like to be a small slave girl standing in the window. It was supposedly built on an Indian burial ground.
So you would say a dark figure.
Oh. I would like to note that the darkest person in this room said that joke. Yes, DJ. It was supposedly built on an Indian burial ground, so already it has the atrocity of slavery built into it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're throwing Native American burial ground into it. And a lot of people report seeing a young Native American girl running through the halls or something like that at night. So there's a lot of sightings. So this is where this kid is in 8th grade. They're with a large group and they're taking a tour. And the tour guide is speaking. They're in this dark room. They're just standing in this huge crowd. And the tour guide is telling them something. And in the middle of his sentence, our friend hears a noise. And he looks around and he's looking at all his friends in his class and all the other people in the tour guide, and no one seemed to react. He said it sounded like a distant piano key. And it just went, and he heard it strike. And then he heard it strike again. And again, he's looking around and no one's reacting. They've actually recorded what it sounds like. And it sounds like this.
I knew it.
Just kidding.
It's just Runaway from Kanye West.
So they hear, he hears this piano key. He looks around. No one's reacting. And finally he goes, "Are you guys hearing this?" to all his friends. And his friends are like, "What?" He goes, "Do you hear that piano?" And all of them are quiet for a second. "No, I don't hear anything." And then he hears it again. He goes, there it was. And all of them are like, "Okay, no, you're done." And so the tour guide just keeps talking and he's silently freaking out, trying to contain it. All of his friends are like, "Dude, I don't hear anything." And he's sitting there. He hears it again. He looks up and through the crowd, he sees a lady staring right at him.
Oh.
And the lady's just staring at him. He's staring at her. And silently she goes, points
nope.
at him.
Hell no, dude.
And he's staring at her. And she goes, and points at her ears.
Like she can hear it?
And he realizes she's saying, "You hear it too?" And he just nods his head slowly, and she nods her head slowly. And while they're doing this, while they're having this interaction, the words of the tour guide come back through, and he's telling them a story of an old soldier who died. He used to play piano in this room. And people have reported hearing this piano at night. And his blood runs ice cold, right? Finishes the story. Tour guide, they start moving to the next room. And him and the lady just walk straight to each other. And she goes, "Did you hear that?" And he goes, "Yeah." "Did you hear it?" "Yeah." "My friends didn't hear it though." She said, "No, my husband and son didn't hear it either." And they just kind of and went to the next room.
That's trippy, dude.
That's fun. Is that it?
That's it.
Dude, I am high-key afraid of being in a situation where I see, hear, and or experience something, and I'm with a group of people, but I'm the only one.
Oh, yeah.
Because who am I supposed to relate to with about the experience? And nobody's going to believe me. Everyone's going to think I'm crazy and write me off. So
I think you have kind of a unique situation because if you did that with me and Sean, I would believe you.
Same.
Especially if you gave me our password.
Yeah,
I'd be
dude.
All right.
Yep.
but still,
But I know what you're saying.
if you
It would still
if you
be,
still
yeah.
didn't see or hear it or experience it, it's still tough because it's like, I don't know, dude. But at least he had one other person
True.
and they both saw it, and I don't know, dude. That's wild. I like that. That's really creepy to me. I have chicken skin thinking of that.
Well, that's me for tonight. Thank you for letting me share way too many stories.
No, you're good. I guess that's me next. So this one comes from, we'll call her Cosette. So Cosette The location of this story is also undisclosed. So Cosette is living in an apartment. She's been in this apartment since 2014. She lives by herself. Well, not by herself. She has a dog. Big Great Dane. And I guess this apartment complex is big enough where they have their own like dog park. So over the first few years, she frequents the dog park. It's right outside her apartment. And she meets the other residents. She becomes acquaintances with some of them. She knows names and faces of a handful. But she says specifically she doesn't get really close with anyone. She's just busy with her own life and her boyfriend. And in 2017, she comes home one day with her dog. And on the doormat is a collar with the dog's name on it. And she thinks it's a cute collar, thinks it's weird because she doesn't know who it's from. There's no note left with it. And she decides to think that this is from one of her acquaintances, one of the residents in the apartment complex. So she actually uses the dog collar, gives it to her dog. About 3 months later, she comes home and she finds in front of her apartment again a bag of dog treats. And it's her dog's favorite treats. And at first she thinks it's sweet. And then she thinks, I don't know who this came from. Again, there's no note. So because I don't know where this came from, who gave it to me, I'm just going to trash it because
Be safe.
I don't want to give my dog something I don't know where it came from.
Right,
Even though
yeah.
I know it's my dog's favorite treats. I can just get it myself. 5 months later, at this point it's 2018, and she finds a toy and the same treats again. And at this point, she thinks it's really weird because it's the third instance of something being left for her dog with no note or indication of who's leaving it there. So at that point, she goes to her acquaintances who live there. She's asking them. They don't know anything. She really doesn't find any information, but she trashes that as well. About a year ago, her and her dog are playing right outside her apartment, and his favorite toy is this little dinosaur. And when they decide to wrap it up and head back inside the house, she makes the dog leave the toy in front of the front door, because it's really muddy. She doesn't want to take it in. She's going to clean it first before they bring it in. So they leave it at the front door. They go inside. Later that night, she goes outside her door to grab the toy, clean it. It's gone. She does remember that day is trash pickup day, and they all have trash bins right in front of their front doors. So she's thinking the trash guys probably picked up the toy with the trash as well. So that happened a year ago. Not too long after that, she gets engaged and she moves in with her fiance. And she kind of just, because she's not super close with anybody there, she doesn't have any family in the state. She picks up, moves out, doesn't leave a forwarding address, nothing. Moves in with her fiance about an hour away. And she's there for a couple months, still working. She works a late night shift. Her shift, at least in this particular time that this next event happened, she works from 11:30 p.m. to about 4 in the morning. So she comes home really late, or really early in the morning. And this one particular morning, she comes home. The dogs are already awake, and they have to use the bathroom. Her fiance is asleep. So she's making food. She's hungry. She opens the door. She lets the dogs out, go do their business. She turns the lights on outside and goes out into the back porch and is just watching them while they're outside. And they run back to come inside the house. She turns around and she can see that the toy is sitting on her porch.
The red dinosaur?
The dinosaur. And it was still muddy and had the same rip in its tail. So there was no denying that this was the same toy, her dog's favorite toy. It's so discomforting to her because before she left for work, she took the dogs out. And she knows for a fact that there was no toy there. So sometime in the middle of the night while she was out, this person, who we can probably assume is the same person, hopped over their 6-foot fence in the middle of the night while she was out, left the toy, and hopped back over because the gate is locked and only they have the keys. She checked on the gate, still locked. So she's freaked out. Like I said, she didn't leave a forwarding address. No details on her moving. She didn't tell anybody. She just left and moved into her fiance's house a few months prior to that. So she buys some cameras on Amazon and she installs the cameras. And that same week, she catches the person who's doing this. She can see in the footage that this truck drives by and comes back and backs in slowly into their driveway. And she recognizes the truck. And the truck is one of the groundskeepers from her previous residency. And the groundskeeper is someone she was always really friendly with. He was a little slow, a little mentally challenged, and she made a particular note that she was extra nice to him because other tenants would make complaints about him and call him a retard and all these things. So she just wanted to befriend him. And he was always nice to her and her dog. And every time that she had her dog, he would always, make an effort to pet it and make small talk and then go on their way. So she's really confused and kind of sad because she liked this person, but now he's stalking them. So she reports it she calls like the non-emergency hotline, and they get a detective to work with her on this, and they talk to the previous residency and the people who are employing him. I'm not too sure what action was done after that. That's the last update that she got. But before she found out that it was the groundskeeper, I just thought how I couldn't shake how creepy that was to have moved an hour away, leaving no trace behind. I still don't know how the groundskeeper was able to find her address, but coming home early that morning, still dark, finding the toy right there,
Nope.
I'd immediately think they were watching me right then and there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You
And
know?
chances are he was.
Maybe, dude. We don't know, because at that point she didn't have cameras, But I would get in the house right away. But
Hell yeah.
luckily she came out safe. But
Yeah.
it was creepy to me just thinking of the whole being stalked.
And it could be completely like friendly and maybe just misjudged and severely overstep bounds, but it could
Maybe
not
it's
be.
not. Yeah.
You can't take a risk on something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's willing to track you down and hold on to a toy for over a year and then plant it in a place that tells you, in the middle of the night. Like the fact that he's doing that in the middle of the night and stuff, he's like aware enough that like he doesn't want to be seen.
Yeah.
Kind of tells me he knows it's not good behavior. I don't know, man.
It was frustrating to me to think of her coming home every time or stepping out of her apartment, seeing her dog's like favorite things with no like attachment to it, no note or.
Yeah. Leave a note. Jeez.
Yeah. Because otherwise you are kind of forced to throw it away. You have no idea.
Yeah.
That's true.
Be nice. Don't be creepy doing it.
The dynamic of a stalker could possibly be the scariest like scenario for me, because this person is patient and he's playing a game and he most likely is going to be one step ahead the entire time, right? Like you're playing their game.
Yeah.
I would not be down with that.
There is another story I have. Not necessarily a stalker.
Oh.
Real quick though, until she installed the cameras, I was thinking it was her boyfriend,
That's what I thought too.
and she like married a psychopath.
I didn't think about that.
Like
That was my first thought actually from the
I was like, oh
get-go.
no. Like now she's in his home. But yeah,
And then he licked her hand while she was sleeping.
drip, drip, drip.
Drip, drip.
And then the dog said to her, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?"
Bro, all those urban legends just all together.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're totally fine. This one doesn't have to do with a stalker, but it reminded me just a creepy encounter. I'm trying to get my memory and facts straight on this, but husband, wife, children, they're up late watching TV. Wife and the children decide they're going to go to bed, and the husband says, I'm going to go. They're in the basement, like their family room, theater room, or whatever, watching TV, watching these movies. And the husband said, I'm going to go work upstairs for a little bit. I'll be back down. So they all fall asleep on the couches. Husband goes upstairs. And later that night, she's sleeping there on the couch. And her husband walks in, lies right next to her, and he's naked. She's like, oh, some sexy time. So she's kind of sleepy, but she's trying to wake herself up. She's getting excited, and she's feeling him up. And she realizes that's not her husband's body.
Oh, shit.
And in the dark, she immediately screams and grabs her children, brings them to the corner. And she hears upstairs, doom, 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 doom. Then down the stairs, doom, 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 doom. Lights turn on. It's the husband. And there's this naked man on the couch that they've never seen before. The husband grabs him, and there's just yelling, who the hell are you? What are you doing here? Get out of my house. About to beat this guy, giving him a second to respond, give his case. And this man was really apologetic, but pretty incoherent at the same time. They quickly realized that he was drunk. And while he's explaining himself, there's a knock on their door. So they bring the man upstairs, and he's stumbling over himself. And there's a few people waiting outside the door, and they call his name, and they take him. The whole story is there's a music festival nearby. It's late at night. He was drunk, and they had an Airbnb right next door.
Oh.
They send the friend home. I'm not sure why he went home by himself if he was that drunk.
Not good friends.
Yeah, not good friends. But he got the wrong house, apparently. And this is the information we have. But he got into the wrong house and slid in with.
And almost got into the wrong house.
Yeah. But
do you know what's truly terrifying about that story?
what's up?
Is the mom was about to make hanky panky with her GD kids on the same
That's
couch,
what I
dog. Have some decency, bro. Or else you're gonna scar them, like DJ. Story for another time.
Yeah. Put your left hand in, put your left hand out.
I wonder how she realized. She's like, "You are missing 2 inches." Just kidding. Sorry. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
Those are the stories I got.
Yay! Thank
Dope.
you, man.
Dope. So I got a couple of stories for you as well. We'll start you off with a little story from, it's from this guy who, and the way that he tells his story is he visits this house or he stays in this house for a month or two out of every year. So I feel like he was living with family or something like that. But he basically is working remotely, and they have this room saved for him.
Is this right now? During the quarantine?
Yes. Cool. He was quarantined before it was popular. No, this isn't as of right now. But essentially, he was working remote. He was able to work at this other place. I assumed it was with family, but didn't actually mention. They had a room saved for him as well. And he would work late nights as well, but he would just work from inside his room. He said one night he's just working and has to go to the bathroom. Now, he lived at this place for 1 to 2 months of the year or every year. And so he's pretty familiar with the house. He described it as going outside his room and he would make a left-handed U-turn to get to the bathroom. So like down the hallway, left, bathroom.
Did you ever turn corners with your fist clenched?
Bro.
Past tense, literally every time.
Nearly
I do.
every time. Yeah. Even in my own house, dude. I am constantly Arthur meme.
I try to go open-handed though, just in case, like
You catch a friend or something.
Yeah. Okay.
just like, it'd be safe,
Hell yeah. And I'll tell you the exact reason why, but I'll let Sean finish.
Okay.
Okay. So he says he's very familiar with the way to get to the bathroom because he's been in this place for quite some time. He would make this left-handed U-turn. Now, the family he was staying with was already asleep. It was really late at night. He didn't want to turn on any lights to wake anybody up. So he basically goes out of the room. He goes down to the end of the hall, makes a left, walks a little bit further, makes another left, goes to the bathroom. Then, and you know how like late at night when you like turn the lights on in the bathroom and then you turn it off to go back,
You're so blind, dude.
you can't see anything.
That's the worst.
That's when the demons come.
I know.
is what
You just get solar flared.
You just can't see anything at all. So what he does is he flips off the light. He goes out of the bathroom, makes a right, then he makes another right, and then he stops. And he sees a dark figure standing, and he can barely see because he's just like blasting his eyes with the light. It seems like they're just standing in the hallway. So he like all of a sudden is freaked out. He swears he sees just a figure standing there at the end of the hallway. He starts making his way to the room slowly. And then again, he feels like he sees someone just standing there. And he doesn't want to turn on any of the lights still, even though at this point I would have been like, F it, I'm turning the lights on. He makes his way slowly and he feels like this person is inching closer to him as he continues to go. And he continues to inch closer and closer. And then as he gets to his door, he realized the doorknob's not there anymore. And that he had left the door open with a mirror on the back side of the door.
Stupid. Oh, man.
It's like a picture of cats fighting themselves in the mirror.
Yeah. Dude, have you been spooked by your own
Hell yeah,
reflection?
boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
yeah, dude.
It's,
I at least make like the thought crosses my mind. Like, what?
2 weeks into quarantine, I saw my naked body in the mirror and I was spooked. How obese I've gotten.
that's so funny. That's until the reflection says to him, I got you. I beat you.
Bro, I am mortified. I am so traumatized about going to the bathroom at night because of one scene in The Sixth Sense.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Cole,
I haven't seen Sixth Sense, but give me them spoilers because it's my fault. The movie came out, what, 20 years ago?
so Cole can see dead people. He
Yes.
can see ghosts.
Yes.
And when you know there's a ghost around, it gets really cold. So Cole's sitting in his room and he's in his chonies and he's holding his little Wayne. And you just know his body language right away. You're like, damn, he has to piss. But he doesn't want to leave his room. And he like looks around and he goes, doom, 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 and runs to the bathroom, flips on the light and starts peeing. And in the middle of him peeing, he's like relaxing. You can see from the camera is facing into the door and you see like him standing at the toilet. Right in front of the camera and in front of the bathroom door, a figure goes whoom and passes all fast. And as it passes, Cole like turns slowly and looks behind him. And then he finishes up, he flushes, and he walks out of the bathroom down the hall and the kitchen light's on. And he can see like a shadow, someone moving in the kitchen. And all of a sudden you can see his breath coming. And he walks into the kitchen and he sees his mom at the kitchen.
Is his mom dead or?
No.
Okay.
He sees his mom like at the sink washing dishes or something, and he's like, and he relaxes. And his mom turns around and he realizes it's not his mom. And she thrusts her wrist at him and she goes, look what you made me do. And she just has huge gashes up her arms. And she's this dead body. She's a ghost.
She has huge cuts in her Dragon Ball Z raincoat.
And it was DJ. And But anyway, he freaks out, runs back to his room. But I saw that like as a 12-year-old and straight up have like refused to go pee at night since then.
Did I hear you?
Dude, the worst though is when you're camping and you have to pee at night.
Nah, dude, you just
I will hold that shit all night,
Yeah.
bro.
you just make your body eat it. Absorb it. I reabsorb it into my body.
Dude, I've gotten desperate enough where I just open the front flap and just pee from outside or pee right at the door of the tent and
Just
close.
pisses on everyone's shoes inside the tent.
In Australia, they call that a shoey.
DJ fishes his weenie through his underwear and then fishes it through the tent.
That's some double pen right there. Everybody's had that feeling and that experience when playing hide and go seek as a kid. When you hide and then immediately have to go and pee.
Hell yeah. It's just that adrenaline hits.
Yeah.
And your bladder's just like, nope.
I'm out.
I'm head out.
Yeah. So that was your first story?
Yeah, no, that one got me too. I was like, gosh damn it. I got to the end. I was like, you little fricker.
That's hilarious. So you had another story?
Yeah. So my other story tonight comes from a fellow traveler like myself, solo traveler, and it was also in the UK. Now this person, they decided to take a trip a little bit further to the southwest of London. So they're going towards the coast, and it's a place called New Forest, England. And New Forest is pretty rural, and there's like a ton of lodges and stuff like that. She decides to go and stay at this lodge that had previously been a hunting lodge, as far as like she knew. That's just what it had said. And she was traveling with a group of people solo. So it's like she had come by herself, and there was a group of people that she was with at this point.
Cool.
They just kind of like met up.
Yeah. So she gets to the lodge, or they get to the lodge, and it's kind of this creepy old English lodge, if you can imagine that. Probably with a thatched roof, like the big old oak trees around the building.
I see a lot of wood and stone, torches in the walls.
But they head into the lodge, they get checked in, and right away she kind of gets this creepy vibe. She's just like uneasy about this place, but not enough to say, hey, I'm not
Turn
going to
her
stay
away.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus she's with this group of people and they're all checking in. This is what they're doing. So they kind of go about their activities for the day, eventually make it back to the lodge that evening, and she has her own room. She heads over to there, closes the door, gets ready to go to bed, and she has this really just creepy feeling still, this uneasy feeling.
DJ is rubbing his leg hairs on my leg hairs. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when my man leg hair intertwines with another man leg hair.
Dude, it's just a prank, bro.
I'm sorry he ruined your story. Continue. I'm just kidding.
She goes to her room, and she still has this uneasy feeling, but now she's by herself. So it just takes her forever to finally go to sleep. And she mentions, at least at this point, like it was one of the few times she couldn't bring herself to turn off the lights in her room. Eventually she falls asleep with the lights on, and she has this dream. And this dream is this super vivid vision of her in a trench. And she's running through this trench and starts hearing just bombs go off, like all around her. And she's like freaking out. She's obviously, and she wakes up and hears like banging of metal from like outside. It was probably like a gutter or something. It was banging up against the house. And
Sure, we'll go with that.
we'll go with that. Yeah. Or something. She hears the banging of metal up against the house. Now she's even more uneasy, and she's just like laying there. She can't bring herself to go back to sleep. And she stays awake the rest of the night. And then in the morning, she and the rest of the guests in her party are waking up, and it's a B&B, so they go and get breakfast. And when she gets down to the dining room, she sees this picture on the wall, but it's like one of the picture frames with like multiple pictures in it. and then a story underneath it. And the story details how this hunting lodge became a makeshift hospital during World War II. And so all the people that were being brought back from France in the trench warfare were being put up in this lodge. And essentially, people died. There were a lot of people that died, a lot of people who made it, but it wasn't exactly this B&B at the beginning either. So once it had been reconverted back to the hunting lodge, it became a B&B. So they died and then also were unfamiliar with their environment if there were spirits that continued to live in that lodge. So it was that day, though, that once she read that, she decided, hey, I know we're with this group here, but I'm going to go and find a different B&B. I'm outie right now.
She seemed to like pick up on something pretty hardcore.
Yeah, she was picking up on something. And she said she hadn't watched anything World War II or anything like that would have brought that type of imagery up for her either. It seemed solely to stem from being in that lodge. Mm-hmm. Either way, dude, that's a little creepy, I think.
Hell yeah, man.
Especially the correlation of banging up against the house from something outside with bombs going off in her dream.
It's like relative PTSD almost.
I think it's weird when you're dreaming and your antenna seems to be able to pick up more frequencies,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's happened in almost all of our stories tonight. Like with the girlfriend, the guy.
Yeah.
That girl I met in Australia.
It's got to be something to it, yeah.
Odd. And that's our show.
Yep, that's all I got for tonight.
Anything else, y'all?
Nah, I'm good. I think I got my fill of spooks.
I'm feeling real spooky.
Just real quick, thank you to everyone out there who listens, who likes, who comments, everyone who submitted a story. Mm-hmm. That's like my favorite part of all this is whenever we see a new message or a new email and it's someone who sent in their story, it's so fun because you get to connect with them, talk a little bit, ask them questions and hear the story for them is so much more powerful. So
yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to our patrons, especially Aaron Block.
Rio Grill.
Big shout out.
Yeah. Thank you all. If you have a scary story, DM us on our Instagram at 3am pod. Send us an email, which is yourfriends@the3ampodcast.com.
Yeah.
Send us your stories, man. If you're like wondering about it, you have some time on your hands, type it up.
Yeah. No, and thank you for everyone who's already participated and sent stories in. You guys are the best.
Yeah. And with that said,
all right, this was a good night. We submit these stories for the approval of the 3am Society. Everyone out there, bye, love you, be safe.
Be careful out there.
trust your gut, watch your back.